is to do so. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a certified life coach, and I'm so thankful for y'all being in the room today. Shayna?
My name is Shayna Singleton, aka the Herpes Goddess, Clapback Queen, Goddess Queen Mother. I am the founder of the Herpes Can Never movement, growing the largest herpes community of over 230K because I inspire people to love themselves more. The mission is to make everyone uncomfortable until the herpes community feels comfortable being open about their status and proud of their sexuality. I'm so happy to have you all here with us today. It is Story Time Saturday. Let's go.
Let's go. I'm trying to think.
Let's get into the tea from last night because our Patreon call was lit. If you don't know, if you're new to us, on Fridays, we talk about sex and self-care with our members of the Herpes Can Never movement. And we had a great journal exercise surrounding sex and our own beliefs, our own limiting beliefs that we have around sex that we might not be aware of.
I still have my notes in front of me from last night. It was so interesting because Shayna always has these amazing journal prompts, and I'm so eager to answer the questions and fill them out. And I always have to think now. I'm like, Shayna's gonna ask you a question, and you're gonna think on the surface you got the answer, but she's gonna come back and hit you with something and show you a video that's gonna make you upend everything you thought you knew. And that's what happened when we were talking about sex last night, because I came to all types of understandings about myself that I wasn't consciously aware of, and so it was such a good conversation.
Yes, I love that. And I love that I was able to do that for you. And it just goes to show that every healer needs a healer. So Amber's my healer and I'm Amber's healer, and we're forever students. So just to keep an open mind, take all your beliefs, your traditions, everything again you believe to be true, put it in a box somewhere and be open-minded. And I appreciate you for being open-minded last night, Amber. I remember I said, don't change nothing in the middle of the video. And you was like, I'm firm in my beliefs.
Firm in my beliefs. I ain't going nowhere. Then the whole thing, I'm looking at the video like, wow, I really, my stance on sex has been so limited because of how I'm just now realizing in my mid-30s how for a lot of my life, sex was so much more about the guy, the other person and their pleasure, to where it was either a ego thing, like let me be the best, or it was hurry up and get it over thing because it's not really that good. I never really considered sex something that I was supposed to be getting pleasure out of because of so many other things. And so I'm just now coming to understand that now, way after herpes, way after my diagnosis, I'm still like doing this type of work on myself. And this is the work that is part of our constant never-ending healing.
Yes. Thank you. I appreciate you. Welcome, Pamela. We see you just slid in here. Sylvia, Shannon, Seven, welcome. Does anyone want to come up and share their stories today before me and Amber go off on a rant? I want to give you guys the opportunity to share your story on a story time Saturday.
Yes, as will raise their hand.
As we wait, I am herpes positive. I have HSV2 genital herpes, and I've had it since 2015. Amber?
So I am also HSV2 positive genital, so that I believe, and I was diagnosed in 2018. So that's my background with the virus.
You're not genital as well.
Well, that I believe, I mean, I feel like HSV2, like, isn't just by default, we just, I guess, you know what someone else told me that I want to bring up actually right now? They said that, so HSV2, they just think as in, I don't know if they're talking about medical professionals, think that that just means the virus is more so likely to be located on the lower half of your body.
Yes.
Have you heard something like that?
HSV2 is attached to your, is it called the sacral trigeminal?
Okay.
And then, what is no, it's the ganglion. That's what it's called, the sacral ganglion. And then the nervous system that's above the navel. I can't think of the name right now. I have it in my notes. I have to see, search for those notes for you to give you the right name, but the difference between the two is just what nerve is attached to.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, I'm literally getting my whole life and my whole education. So
Yeah.
HSV2 positive, asymptomatic.
There we go. Yes, that's perfect. Because there's people, I want to make it clear that just because you have HSV2 doesn't necessarily mean that you have genital herpes. You can have HSV2 and have cold sores. You can have HSV2 and have herpetic whitlow, outbreaks on your fingers, outbreaks on your butt, outbreaks on your thighs. You don't know where your outbreak site is. So just because someone says HSV2 doesn't necessarily mean they have genital herpes. So every time you'll hear me announce, I'm HSV2, genital herpes, Amber will say, I'm HSV2, asymptomatic.
Yes. Thank you, Queen. So, story time Saturdays. I mean, I don't know. Like, I have so many stories. Like, where do we even start?
I don't know. Give me something.
I'm trying to think about what I really wanted to think about was, so I made a YouTube video talking about how I disclosed my herpes to my ex-boyfriend who, you know, we were in a relationship and how he received it well. And it prompted me to think of how I had disclosed before to other people, and the response wasn't so welcoming or so favorable, and just trying to think of how some of those disclosures went, because over in our Facebook group, I saw someone make a post saying,
oops.
and told that person, because it went from like 0 to 100 real quick. So it's like they didn't anticipate having had that conversation, but before they did have sex, she disclosed to him, and he basically, like, the vibe was killed, the night was over, and, you know, so she was just talking about that over in the group, and I was trying to think of how I disclosed to people, a few guys, and the responses weren't favorable, but, you know, we were obviously in different settings, like either on the phone or in person. So a lot of people in the comments were like, well, maybe you could have disclosed in a different, the setting had something to do with maybe the response the person gave. And so I wanted to know what you thought about that, because a lot of people, when we have herpes, we're like, who are we gonna tell? How are we gonna tell the person? Does where you disclose matter? ? Literally the physical location. And for me, I don't know, I just always imagined having the conversation prior to us being in a physically sexual, because you can have sex without penetratable sex. I learned that last night. But you can, you know, where is the conversation? Where should it be held? Is there an appropriate place or time, I guess, because that comes up a lot with disclosure. So just wanted to get people's input.
Okay. One, I believe that you should disclose the minute you know that you want to have sex with the person, so that you can just eliminate the chances of you guys getting drunk, one thing leading to the other. You have sex and now you haven't disclosed. Let's just nip it in the bud and have the sex conversation immediately when you know that you want to have sex with the person, period. Because you got to get tested. You got to show each other, you know, I have to show you my results. I have to see your results. We got to make sure all of that stuff is done before we start hooking up. Two, you should never text a disclosure. And you should never do something that you don't normally do. If you're talking on the phone every single day and then you text, you're putting negativity on your disclosure. If you got to see each other all the damn time and then you decide to text, you're putting negative energy on the disclosure yet again, because you're doing something out of the norm. Why does she have to go through these lengths, or he? Why do they have to go through these lengths to tell me something that's going on with themselves? If you see yourself going out of your way and making this big thing about disclosure, baby, you're not ready to disclose yet, period. But as far as location goes, I think it should be an intimate setting, whether you guys are at each other's homes, on a walk, on a hike, even at dinner. The setting should be intimate, and it should be you two. And yeah, sex talk during the sex talk.
I agree. I love that. I feel like the sex talk has to happen. And that's when you bring it up. So when you know that this person is a potential sexual partner, because again, there's no gloom and doom around sharing the fact that you have herpes. We're not breaking that stigma. So it's not like this conversation that's going to be filled with anxiety and fear and frustration. It's a part of your sex talk. Oh, I have herpes. That's how conversational ideally it would be when you're sharing that with somebody you're going to have sex with. So yeah, I feel like if you just bring it out of nowhere, there's more chances to have this emotional response or reaction. There's way too many people grateful that the person accepted their herpes diagnosis. And I'm like,
yeah, what are you grateful for?
What are you grateful for?
That's how I feel. Like, why do you even feel grateful that somebody accepted you? Like, why are you playing with yourself like that?
Yes. That part.
They should be grateful that they have you.
That part.
Like that feeling alone. Look at what you're putting into your relationship from the jump.
Yes.
That's low energy. That's low vibration. That's already you not accepting yourself. Already you not loving yourself enough to you feel grateful that somebody accepted your herpes. It's like you're settling. You're limiting yourself and you're tagging on bad juju into your relationship. And I don't know. That's how I feel about that statement. I don't think you should feel grateful that somebody accepted your herpes status. When it comes to me, I have herpes. You accept it or not. I don't give a rat's fuck. If you want to walk away from me, go ahead and walk. I'm still going to be happy. And I'm still going to be loved. Because my love is enough. And my happiness is enough. And my passions is enough. And I am enough for myself.
Having me is a big flex.
Period.
That energy, like you have to be enough for you. And that's what we talked about last night when we were having our sex talk. You have to even be enough for your own self sexually before you can require someone else or depend on someone else to be so much for you sexually that you aren't even that for yourself, because you've literally never taken the time to get to know yourself in that way.
Yes, I mean, even down to women. You have women complaining about a man having a small penis but never had an orgasm before. What are you complaining for? What do you even have sex for?
Doing it either.
Yeah, like what are you having sex for? Like, you don't even know what it is to please you, and yet you're putting this expectation on your partner to please you. Where they do that at? Guess what? It don't matter what partner comes into your life once you know you and know your body. Because then you'll be able to voice and communicate your wants, your needs, your desires, and how to get yourself there. But we enter in these relationships not knowing shit about our bodies, how our vaginas work from the inside on out, how to give ourselves an orgasm, how to please ourselves, how to have sex with yourself before you even going into a relationship. Now you mad at the man because he can't please you and you don't even know what it is to please your damn self.
Hello.
Hello.
Facts. I learned that last night because I'm like, I really have. It's like sex has been about everybody but me for so long. It's literally, I'm depending on a person to make me feel away. It's like I'm putting so much of my power I'm giving up outside of myself instead of taking that back. And so I've learned that in my healing, that by blaming others or just putting responsibility in any way for my life in the hands of someone else is a dangerous place to be in. And you are you're exchanging your power in the process. You might think you're doing yourself a favor by giving that person more responsibility. So if they F it up, it's their fault. If they F up something in your life, it's their fault and not yours. But you also have to be mindful of the fact that you're participating in giving them that responsibility and placing that blame and say, hey, I can give, or I can take back, and I can take my power back. And when you choose to take your power back and see how powerful you actually are, you'll realize that we've been hustling backwards this whole time. And so there's so much power in you right now. It's just waiting on you to discover it and walk in it.
Yep. Oh, you said that. Amber, can you please reintroduce yourself for any of the newcomers on Facebook or here on Clubhouse so they can get to know who you are again?
Sure. It's Amber, aka WatchAmber. I am the co-founder of the Herpes Can Never Movement. My confidence is contagious. I'm so happy you guys are in the room. Thank you for being here on Storytime Saturday. Shayna?
My name is Shayna Singleton, aka the Herpes Goddess. I am the founder of the Herpes Can Never Movement. And we are so happy to have you here with us today. We have a slight echo. If you're here, sorry, if you, one second, Amber, if you on the Facebook Live and you have any questions, we won't be able to get to your questions right now until after the live. But if you really want to ask your question, come meet us here on Clubhouse now and join us on the stage. Sorry, Amber.
No, you're good. I love that. The stage is open. Hey, Key. Hey, Pamela. Hey, Jared. Hey, Latifah, Shannon, Sylvia, Z, and Tasia. Welcome to Storytime Saturdays. And my little tea is that Bay is in the room. So Jared is my man, and I wanted to tell him thank you for being here and showing up on this Saturday.
Jared, you finally made it, King. Look at the shade,
I ain't gonna lie, I just sent him an invite today.
Okay, all right.
I had dropped the ball a few weeks ago when I asked him to show up, so I did send him the invite. No, and here he is.
Amber, that's not your fault, Amber. Everyone else finds it. Jared could have found it. www.herpescannever.com. There we go.
He
Welcome.
I was like, let me slide you one of my 5 invites. So I did do that, but I want to say hey to him. Hey, Jay, welcome to Storytime Saturdays. So yeah, Shayna, I feel like you have so many great stories. So your baby, he's on vacation.
Niles, yes, him and his grandparents, man, they are something else. They do an annual vacation with their grandson around his birthday time every year. COVID got in the way, but this year they wasn't letting COVID get in the way. So he left off yesterday. He said, Mama, I'm going to be in the hot tub. I'm going in the pool and I'm going to get a tan. And now I'm getting all these pictures. It's him in the hot tub, him in the pool, him tanning.
Hey, he said that. He did that.
Yeah, he did. He 4, y'all. My son is 4. Talk about a hot tub, pool, and tan.
He's a grown man. So you got the place to yourself. You having some mommy time, some Shayna time.
Some Herpes Can Never time. You know, I'm on go mode, work.
Some grinding time.
All the time.
Yes.
All right. I want to talk about folliculitis today, you guys. I dated somebody with folliculitis, and at one point I used to think the person gave me herpes. I'm not sure who gave me herpes, to be honest with you, but with people who suffer from folliculitis, they get a lot of hair bumps everywhere on their body, not just their hair, not just their face, just anywhere that hair grows. So that happens downstairs as well. And some people might say, I don't have herpes, I have folliculitis. And a lot of people confuse folliculitis with herpes because they can't tell the difference between the two. And I wanted to bring that up today. I wanted to talk about that a little bit. Is anyone in the room familiar with folliculitis?
Well, I'm semi-familiar being an esthetician and just looking at the skin and understanding how our skin, our hair, and our oil ducts are all connected and how they work and how our skin can be impacted with hair, especially for African Americans, us with more curly hair and coarse hair, breaking the skin, and how we have a lot of issues in that area. For men, both in all areas, their face, we see it primarily on men's faces in their facial hair area, their necks and things like that. But of course, we're all talking about other body hair as well. Our pubic hair, of course, which is naturally more coarse and has a tendency for us to have issues with the follicles and hair and things like that. So semi-familiar. So,
I mean, it's easy for someone to get the two mixed up. What do you think?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, folliculitis, I all the time in the group, people thought they always say, I thought I had an ingrown hair. Because ingrown hairs, can be very painful. Ingrown hairs can be very, the manifestation of it on the skin can look very similar to herpes. And So you just think it's a hair bump, but I can definitely see. I've actually thought I was having an outbreak before, and it turned out to be an ingrown hair. So I understand how they can mix them up.
Okay. How did you know it was an ingrown hair?
Because I got the hair out of the middle of the impacted follicle, and it healed itself.
Okay. I thought you got like it cultured or got the bump tested.
No, I actually haven't. I've just literally gone down there and gotten the hair directly from the source and pulled it.
Okay. All right.
So maybe I should do that next time I get an ingrown
hair. You should. You should.
I'm going to.
Because I thought I had a razor bump. So I thought I had a razor bump. My partner at the time thought I had a razor bump. My doctor told me I had a razor bump. So I mean, it could be, who knows? That's a journey to go on with self. You know, you can never, it doesn't hurt to be too sure. I know a lot of people who are asymptomatic, you know, they're a little bit more stress-free, you know, than people who experience outbreaks. We have to go through the prodrome, we have to go through the outbreaks and the healing and all of that bullshit. But on the plus side, for people who have outbreaks, we get to go through that journey with self to learn our outbreaks and learn our triggers. It's something that people who are asymptomatic cannot do. So if you are asymptomatic, just like I told Amber, if you experience a razor bump and you sure it's a razor bump, it don't hurt to get it tested. Then you'll be like, oh, wow, I found my outbreak site. I do have an outbreak. I'm not asymptomatic. You never know.
I know. I'm gonna definitely keep that in mind the next time I have one, and I'm to the point where it's like even that for people who are asymptomatic, like you could at some point have an outbreak, including myself, and so don't run away from getting that confirmed. Like even that's still living in one way under the stigma or not. It just has never crossed my mind, but when it happens again, I will see because I do want to know.
Yeah, I think I want to know too. Yeah. So definitely. Welcome to everyone new that just came into the room. We appreciate you for being here with us today. It is Storytime Saturday. Today is your chance to practice disclosure, practice talking about your herpes, practice talking about your herpes. Period. That's it.
Getting comfortable, getting familiar. For a lot of people, we are the first people that some have shared that they have herpes and just talked about it and, you know, felt safe enough to do that. So if that's what you want to do, you're more than welcome to do that. We'd love to share the stage with you. So that's what Storytime Saturdays are. But we do have Shannon. So Shannon, welcome to
Shannon.
The stage. Hey! It's like I was thinking about what you just said about the hair bump. I got diagnosed with herpes 1 and 2. Down below, and what happens? I thought it was a hair bump, and just so happens maybe a week or so after, you know, I pulled the hair out, thought everything was fine. I went to my gynecologist for my annual checkup, and he was looking at because it heals in a particular way, and so he looked at it and he's like, you know, that looks like herpes to me, and he cultured it at that time, and that's what it was. So, you know, you really do. I was like, how many years have I thought it was a hair bump?
Yeah.
And it was possibly more than that.
Yeah, I thought about the same thing, Shannon. Sorry.
Yeah, it's like when you said that, I thought that, and I just wanted to say this too. I had gone through probably like the last 4 situationships I've had have really been like terrible situationships, and so probably about 2 or 3 years ago was the last situationship, and I just felt like I was just really down in the dumps. You know, after that, and it wasn't because of them. You know, I didn't care about them. Getting them out of my life was actually a positive.
Yeah.
But I was kind of down in the dumps. And then I found, you know, started looking at TikTok probably a month or so ago, and I kind of found Shayna. And I was like, you know what? This is really interesting. And I think, in all honesty, I was diagnosed in 2014, but I think that by being a part of this group and really joining the Facebook, you know, following on TikTok, following Amber on YouTube has really helped me to really accept my diagnosis And just the eye-opening experience as of last week, I was thinking to myself, well, maybe not accepting the diagnosis also helped to aid in a little bit of that depression that I felt like I was going through.
Ooh.
And I feel like this has really been very eye-opening and very therapeutic and helpful for me. And finally accepting my diagnosis. And so it's really accepting that diagnosis over the last month. Mm-hmm. Really, and being like, okay, I got this.
Yeah.
So I want to thank y'all for that. I really do.
Thank you for sharing that, Shannon, because we need to hear those things. That's the fuel for us. That's what motivates us to keep going and to keep at this movement and to keep fighting the stigma so that there isn't any more stigma. It's no use, it's literally an illusion that we create for ourselves, and then we live by it, and then we look for all the ways herpes can be bad in our lives instead of looking for all the ways herpes can be good in our lives. So I appreciate you for sharing, Shannon.
Oh, thank y'all. Thank you so much, Shannon. And I just want to, again, like Shana said, that definitely is the fuel underneath our butts to just the confirmation. So I appreciate it. And also just speaking about that acceptance, or that denial, rather, not really addressing your herpes and how that directly facilitated, maybe even those dysfunctional situationships, or just the feelings that you were feeling about yourself, and how now accepting yourself and healing fully and being able to have this space to share things like this, you'll just begin to hopefully see things in a different light, and the situationship will just be, you will be in one with yourself and love all things about who you are, and then that will align to you someone who loves all those things as well. Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yep. Okay, so I just wanted to share that with you. Well, thank you so much for being here.
Yes, because that's how the universe works, ain't it, Amber? I say it all the damn time. If you come up to a relationship not healed, I don't give a damn about a disclosure. Your not healed version is going to attract narcissists and manipulators. Those are the only people that love people who are not healed, that want you, that are attracted to you. Narcissists and manipulators are not attracted to strong men and women. They're not attracted to people who are sure of themselves. They're not attracted to people who love themselves, that bring that big energy to the table. So you're always, you can think you're ready to disclose, but make sure you do the work. Make sure you do the work. If you do not do the work, you may find somebody who wants you, but you might end up in a toxic ass relationship. So if you haven't accepted your herpes, you're not ready to disclose.
If you have not accepted your herpes, you are not ready to disclose. I feel like sometimes we the bearer of bad news, because people don't want to hear that.
Period.
They want to say, well, can I heal and date at the same time?
No, that you what are you doing for your relationship? What are you doing to that person? You coming into a relationship not healed yet? You bringing baggage with you. You bringing toxic energy with you. You're not even starting the relationship off right doing that. No, do your healing now.
Do your healing now. Quit avoiding it. Quit delaying it. Quit putting it off. And do your healing now.
I think we have somebody trying to come to the stage, but I'm having trouble trying to bring them up. Can you see, Amber?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
I'll attempt to add her up.
Thank you.
So do your healing now so you won't have to later. Hey, Jay, welcome to the stage.
Hey, y'all. Can y'all hear me?
Yes, Queen.
Okay. So, first off, thank y'all again for secretly watching you all, like stalking you all.
I love it.
Instagram and everything. I don't think I'll ever go public because I just kind of feel like it ain't nobody's damn business. But nevertheless, thank you all for what you all do.
Yes.
I just wanted to say that I have noticed since being diagnosed that there are a lot of Black men that don't like wearing condoms.
There's a lot of men, period. Sorry.
Well, I only be dealing with the dog.
Okay.
That chocolate.
Damn, I may have to switch on over to white chocolate soon, but
okay.
Nevertheless, I realized that, and I think that the scary part about it is, being that they don't test for this, it's you're dating someone and, you know, they don't know their status, you don't know yours, or you think you are clean. It's crazy because I've noticed that my partners, since being diagnosed, they don't never want to use condoms, you know? Like, so it's a scary thought process to know that you're getting out here with men who they don't want to protect themselves, but they're scared of women who have something. So to me, that's just like really like completely like ass backwards on this warm Saturday morning or afternoon, wherever you are located. Mm-hmm. So, you know, it's just scary to me to even put myself back out there because it's just like, if he doesn't want to use a condom with me, imagine he doesn't want to use a condom with the other women that he's dealing with, especially if you're not monogamous. Yep. And then my second thing is, my question for you all is, this was done to me on purpose. So I am trying to heal from this because of the simple fact that I know he did this to me on purpose because he was in between. I guess the girl he got it from was breaking his heart, and then he went back to her. So I guess my question is, how do you heal from something like trauma, such as something like this? Because for me, it's not the diagnosis. I don't care if I have it. If I scare you away, if you want to be in my life, I'm strong enough to know that, you know, if you don't want to be in my life, cool. It is what it is. What's for me is for me. But nevertheless, the back end of it is, at the end of the day, now you have to really, I guess, align yourself mentally to have these conversations that brings on so much anxiety, possibly, you know, some depression, things of that sort, especially when, you know this was done to you on purpose and there's like no real way of like kind of like going against the person or, you know, suing them, especially if you've never been tested for it. So how do you all heal from like trauma such as this? And I'm going to throw a wrench in it. Let me ask you all this. Would you all do this if it was like HIV or like, would you all do this if it was like HIV? Would it still be like your movement? Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it's not the herpes. It just happens to be the herpes, but it's about the self-love that was found, that it was about just confidence in yourself. It was about going on this journey with yourself to accept everything that's happened to you in a way that where herpes was just happened to be one of the things. But herpes is also hella stigmatized, and people are out here literally having suicidal thoughts. People are out here having homicidal thoughts. People are out here staying in toxic relationships. People are out here never thinking they're going to date again because of something like the herpes stigma. So that's particularly why I jumped on, this, really tapped into this. And also because when I got diagnosed, I never thought I would be here. I never considered myself that I would be this version of my healed self, that I could share something like my herpes with everyone so publicly. So it was about the work that I did, and that herpes was the catalyst that opened up everything that I already had to work on. So I'll say that, and I'll address really quick. I'm handed to Shayna so she can answer your questions. As far as the trauma, so I'm kind of like the little butter up person. Shayna likes to get straight to the, she gonna lay it to you, straight, which I appreciate. Mine's gonna be more straight, kind of buffered in a little bit of, I don't know, some little different, because I want to say that I understand, and that while it has to be a unique experience in itself, realizing that you were given the virus intentionally, so I cannot particularly relate to that. So I feel you, I empathize, I understand how that might cause pain for you and affect some things in you. But I also want to encourage you by saying, I would say to you the same thing I would say to everyone else, is at the end of the day, today, April 3rd, 2021, you have to realize that every day you are making a conscious decision to give that situation power, and give that set of circumstances that you are in time and attention that can be used towards your healing, and you taking accountability and ownership for the role that you played in that situation, whether it was you guys didn't see each other's STD results before you had unprotected sex. Maybe you were having protected sex, but you realized that he was dealing with multiple people. So even if you're wearing a condom, that was something that could possibly happen, you getting an STI. So just realizing the role that you played is paramount, because it also, you can realize the amount of power that you have. I talked about it a little earlier. I don't know if you were on, Jay, just yet, but the power that you have to be able to break yourself out of those thoughts and that mentality into something much more beneficial for you. So I'll say that. Shayna?
Jay, I got a quick yes or no question for you. Are you a survivor or are you a victim?
Some days I feel like a survivor. Some days I feel like a
What do you want to be right now? A survivor or a victim? What do you want to be for the rest of your life? A survivor, right? But by you saying this man intentionally gave it to you, by this being your narrative, your story around your herpes and how you got it, you're going to forever be a victim. And you're going to forever hold victim energy. Now, what you can do, because I used to do the same thing, I blamed somebody else. You can say, did I see this man's STI results, physically see his STI results? No, I did not. My herpes is on me then. Because you decided to have sex with somebody that you did not see their STI results. So you went into sexual relations blindly. And that's okay. Because I did it. I did that shit several times. Amber's done that before. A lot of people do that before. It's okay. A lot of people have sex and all their partner have to tell them is, I got tested, I'm good. And then that's the go, right? But the truth of the matter is, like with me and my herpes, when I thought somebody gave it to me, the truth is I never required to see somebody's STI results. I didn't know herpes wasn't included in your average STI panel. So I'm not 100% sure if that person gave me herpes or if I got it from somebody else. At that moment, I took my power back. At that moment, every time I talked about my herpes and how I got it, it was on me. Can't nobody do anything to me. I allow it. I allow people in my space. I give people the privilege of being in my energy space and enjoying me and having me in their life. Having me again is a big flex. That's something that I allow people to do. That's down to sex. You allow the sex to happen. You had sex with him without requiring to see his STI results. You had sex with him even knowing that he was going back to the other girl, okay? So I know you want to hold on to the thought of that it was intentionally given to you, but if you hold on to that feeling, if you hold on to that narrative, you will forever be a victim. And that survivor that you want to be won't shine until you let that go and you take your power back.
Thank you, boo. I ain't look at it like that. I look at it as I'm just trying to beat a big ass on a.
That was me. You were me.
In the top drawer. I paid all the bills up for 3 months. Like,
not the top drawer.
this time. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Queen. Thank you.
What's even better than going to get locked up because you done flattened his tires and beat his ass is healing. And showing him, and not just him particularly, but showing yourself that no set of circumstances could even then make you be a victim because you chose every day to be a survivor. Like Shayna says, it's a decision and a choice, and it's not an easy one. It's actually, being a victim is so much easier to choose because then you get to blame and put responsibility for your life on others.
It's comfortable.
But being a survivor and choosing to take accountability and responsibility for everything that's happened to you gives you all your power back. And now there's nothing I can't do. There's nothing I can't do. Herpes could never. And so that's the mentality that we want everyone to take their power back and choose that they are going to be a survivor every day.
Yes, we have to change the narrative around our herpes. Hell, he probably didn't even know he had herpes. Let's really get down to the nitty gritty. Most people with herpes don't know they have it. They say 85% of people with herpes don't know they have herpes. And yet 90% of the world ages 0 to 49 have herpes. That's crazy. That's something, you know? And I feel like a lot of us in the community, when we find out we have herpes, we put the stigma on ourselves. instantly. And two, we blame the person that we had sex with. We're having sex with at that moment. That's exactly what we do.
Those are dangerous things because for a lot of people, like including myself, I told the story on my YouTube how finding out I had herpes saved my life, and I placed the blame in air quotes on the guy in Chicago who I had like a situationship with, who I believe was responsible for giving me the virus. But as I'm doing my healing, as I'm doing my reflection and my self work, I'm like, I could have had it before him. When's the last time I was actually tested for herpes? Oh, yeah. It was years ago, and so. I have to that's one of the things we just placed it on the person that was most recent. And for some people, that is a set of circumstances, but for others, it may not be. So Just wanted to say hey to Jay again. Hey, Keith, Pamela, Jared, Juana, hey, Shana, Latifah, Z, Nini, Zuli, I believe, Sylvia. Hey, y'all, welcome to Storytime Saturdays. We're over here on Clubhouse every Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern to share our stories, to practice disclosing, to get comfortable saying I have herpes, just being comfortable in that environment. We're so happy you're here. I'm Amber, aka WatchAmber, the confidence queen, and the co-founder of the Herpes Can Never Movement. And shout out to our Facebook cousins.
My name is Shana Singleton, aka Herpes Goddess. I am the founder of the Herpes Can Never Movement. We're so happy to have you here with us today. Again, it's Storytime Saturday. I wanted
our Patreons in the room too.
Yes.
Keith, Pamela, and Klana. We love you. We love everybody. Y'all can always join our Patreon. You can get to our Patreon by going to the link in our Instagram. But we had to make sure we said hello to our Patreons in the room with us today.
I want to talk about how people within the herpes community stigmatize each other. I did the whole once upon a time not long ago, I was a whole post. And people within our community, y'all know my story. But it was important for me to do that TikTok because a lot of women, when they are in my comments and they're talking about they have herpes, they're quick to explain how they are not a hoe and how they didn't get herpes from being a hoe. When we do that, we stigmatize our cousins in the herpes communities that did get their herpes from being out there. Now, hoe is a word given to a woman who enjoys sex. But when a man enjoys sex, he's praised. Okay? And there's nothing wrong for liking sex. So one thing I don't want to do is slut shame. I don't want to make hoes feel bad about being hoes or getting an STI from having sex. Just because you got your STI from being in a marriage with a cheating ass spouse, just because you had your STI from having sex with one person and yet your partner was having sex with everybody else, just because you got your STI from when you were a child or if you was raped, don't make your herpes any better than the girl who likes sex that got herpes. So it was important for me to bring that up and to talk about that today, because we're not going to break the stigma as a whole until we break the little stigmas that we have within the community, especially lip herpes versus genital herpes.
I mean, facts, no cap. Did y'all hear what Shana said? Because that is so, so true. And you just have to realize that when you stigmatize someone else because of something like their sexual preference, as far as, if they want to have a whole lot of sex or a whole little sex, it's actually saying still something about that, something that's unhealed in you, to where their sexual preference is even a concern of yours. And why you feel the need to place judgment on that person because of what they choose to do sexually. So when we self-accept, when we do the self-love and the healing, we can see and appreciate everybody for who they are and how they choose to live, and we can fight the stigma and break the stigma together. But there are so many little sub-stigmas. The lip herpes versus genital herpes, asymptomatic versus outbreaks, hoe versus conservative. I mean, the list literally goes on. So how are you participating in feeling the stigma? You have to ask yourself that. We're here to break the stigma and so our community feels safe and comfortable about being open about their status and proud of their sexuality. How are you participating in the stigma? Subconsciously, consciously. And so just be aware that you're either feeling the stigma or you're breaking the stigma with your actions and with your thoughts. And so just be mindful of that.
You feel the stigma when you decide not to talk about herpes. You feel the stigma when you make someone else with herpes, try to make someone else with herpes look worse than your herpes. You feel the stigma by blocking it out. You feel the stigma by not disclosing to people. You feel the stigma by being the stigma, being that sad person, being that person that feels like my life is ruined, making your illusion your own reality. You are fueling the stigma for everybody else. So if you really want to free yourself from the stigma, you got to figure out the ways that you're fueling it for yourself and for the community as well. It's that self-work. Again, it's never about the herpes. Herpes just brings shit to the surface. It brings everything to the surface. It makes you stop, pause, and reevaluate some things. We're so focused on the relationship. We're so focused on somebody wanting us. We're so focused on, am I going to have kids? Am I going to have a marriage? Baby, do you love yourself? No, because herpes is a factor. And if herpes is a motherfucking factor, we got to figure out how we need to love ourselves more so that herpes is no longer a factor anymore. Don't tell me you love yourself if herpes is causing problems in your life other than an outbreak.
Yes. Look, pass the offering tray. Look, I just be like, that's it right there. Do you love yourself? Like, do you love yourself? And what does that mean? Like, if that, honestly, Shayna, that's actually one of the questions for y'all. We have something super special, a journal that we're working on. We can't wait to share with you guys. But asking yourself those triggering questions. And that's a great question. Do you love yourself? What does love look like to you? How do you show yourself that you love yourself? How are you working to improve yourself? What do you really think about yourself? What would you say about yourself if you knew no one would hear or no one would see what you wrote down? What are your true thoughts? Because that's what really matters. You can lie to everyone on the outside of you. You can even lie to yourself. But at the end of the day, the healing does not actually stick and take effect in your life until you're willing to confront who you really are and what you really think and what you really believe. Like, there's not even a particle in my existence that believes because of herpes, I'm not going to have the love I deserve. I'm not going to have the kids that I desire. I'm not going to have the life that I've dreamed about. Not even a particle. That's the result of the work that I did to put herpes in its place, which is herpes is a part of who I am, but it's not who I am.
Period. The sex talk doesn't stop when you tell the person you have herpes, my love.
This is good. Yes, Shayna. Expand on this.
Okay.
This is good.
Herpes is with you for life. And if you're thinking about your relationship, and if it's a lifelong partner, your partner is going to be with you for life. Your partner is going to be with your herpes for life. You got to be able to say, hey, babe, I'm having a prodrome symptom, so we can't have sex this way, but we can have sex this way. Hey, babe, this is one of my triggers, so I'm worried that it might turn into an outbreak a little bit later. It might trigger an outbreak. So let's cool off on this and have sex this way tonight. Hey, babe, my outbreak is really hurting me and I really can't get to it right now. Can you do this and this and that? Can you grab this for me? Can you buy this for me? Can ways so that your partner can show up for you? Your partner is going to have to learn your herpes so that they can love you the way you love you. Your partner should know your triggers because they've been with you and they're seeing you go through this because you're vocal and you're communicating. Your herpes conversation is not going to just start and end at disclosure. No, you have to keep talking about it. And that's why I stress acceptance. If you haven't accepted your herpes and disclosure, the first sex talk is hard for you to have. You're not going to have the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th, 11th sex talk with your partner. And you don't understand that talking about your herpes will raise your intimacy level as well. It will make you two closer to each other. Your partner will feel a part of you. Your partner wants to love on you. They want to take care of you. They want to know everything that's going on with you. At least they should. And if they don't, then you should probably drop that motherfucker
Big facts. We hear so much that I've heard more than once, which is one time too many, that either it doesn't matter if it's a guy or the girl, someone will write into us and tell us that they want to love their partner has herpes. They might necessarily have it, but their partner has it, and they're trying to love and support their partner through their herpes diagnosis, but their partner is so shamed and feels guilty about it that they won't even allow them to do that. And so you are desiring this relationship and acceptance, but you haven't even accepted yourself enough to receive the love from someone who wants to support you in that way. So if you're still feeling your herpes, any type of shame or guilt or judgment or dirty or all of the words, then this is when you're focusing on you, because it isn't just all right, I told him about my herpes, we good to go. We don't have to have another conversation. This is a lifelong virus. And so these are conversations that we'll have to continue to have. But most of the times, in the beginning especially, you might have to be responsible for facilitating them, for initiating them, because you are the one who's living with the virus if you're in a relationship with only one of you having herpes. So how comfortable are you with your diagnosis to where you can share freely and openly and receive the support and the love from someone who wants to give it to you?
Yes. It's like, say if Amber's boyfriend's here today, say if Jared was herpes negative and Amber was herpes type 2 genital herpes, right? Or she wasn't asymptomatic, period. In their relationship, Jared should know, oh, when I'm going to the store and I'm doing the food shopping, let me not get too many nuts, because I know that nuts is high in arginine and that might trigger an outbreak for babe. And I'm trying to get me some this week. So let me make sure the food is right. Down to that, it's intimacy. You understand?
Yes.
It will spark something in your relationship, but you got to do that for you. When I look at other people, I say people can only love you to the extent that they love themselves. And if you haven't accepted a part of you, to me, what that means is once you find something about me that you can't accept, you won't accept it. You won't even give it a chance, and you'll block it out and you won't talk about it. You're showing me a trait of yours. You're showing me something you do. You're showing me how you love you, which is a reflection on how you will love me, how you will show up for me. If I set my expectations for you higher than what you love yourself, I will only be causing my own disappointments. So you show people how to love you. You show people how to respect you. You show people how to show up for you. When you love yourself, you won't even be searching or seeking for someone anymore. Your partner's going to come to you. You're going to attract it. You have to stand in your power. And if you don't know what your power is, you have to find it. Join us on Patreon. We're doing 2 journal entries a week. We healing on Patreon. Amber?
Patreon is jumping. Y'all can, again, go to our Instagram profiles. We go to the Herpes Can Never Instagram page if y'all will, and make sure you're following that as well. It's under Herpes Can Never on IG. Shayna and myself both have it linked on our personal pages. You can get there that way. But yes, we have Patreon calls every Tuesday and Friday. They're Zoom calls, so we get to see each other's faces and connect in such a great way. We are doing some hardcore work. It's for if you're ready to do that next level, take a little bit of extra step. You want to start participating more actively in your healing in that way. That's definitely something that happens over on Patreon. Pamela, hey queen, welcome to the stage.
Hey queen, Pamela.
I miss you. I miss y'all, but I'm home from vacation, so I'm back. And I was going to say, this is a great conversation. Yay. One, I was going to also add, I'm on the Patreon for anybody who is not. It is amazing. I was on vacation this week, and I missed a couple of calls. While I was working today, I was able to catch up. And it was some fire. This week. So it's truly great. So it's worth the experience. It's like every beautiful person that spoke before me, they have brought me to a door that I needed. I met them in a hard for myself. And they really, it was like a click. Like, it was so, to me, like so momentarily, like it just happened. And it blew my mind, and I really appreciate it. So thank y'all for this. And anybody who is new, welcome. We love you, cousin.
Cousin.
Pamela on payroll.
Keep on.
Pamela, I love you, Pamela. I love you.
I love y'all.
I be bragging about Pamela, how much I love her, because she's so unapologetic. She's doing the work. She's showing up, and we so appreciate it. So that was a great way to end today. Pamela, thank you for sharing. We're so happy. Hope you had a great time on vacation, and of course, we can't wait to have you back over next week for our calls, regularly scheduled program. So thank everyone for being in the room here on Clubhouse today. We're back on Clubhouse on Mondays at 7 a.m. So we do a Monday Q&A. We have a ton of questions sitting in our DMs on Instagram. So we will be answering those on Monday. Shayna also gets questions from her TikTok, and we get questions right here in the room. So if you have a question about your diagnosis, you have a question for Shayna and I about our stories or diagnosis, that's what happens every Monday at 7 a.m. We can't wait to see you there. And shout out to our Patreon or our family on Facebook. Thank you for listening via the stream. We hope you guys are enjoying this conversation over there. And if you have not joined our private Facebook group, you can get to that from the link of our Instagram pages as well, which are linked right here on Clubhouse. We are there, and we are moving and closing in on 1,000 members. So we want you to get in there, and make sure you don't wait. Get in there before we hit 1K. We got something special coming. It's your girl, Amber. I just want to encourage you guys and lift you up and say thank you for showing up for yourself. Thank you for challenging yourself by being here and hearing these words that will hopefully stir up something, trigger something, cause you to actually unpack some of the weight that you might have been carrying around your diagnosis, and learn and with us and heal with us as we go on this journey of self and healing together. And I can't wait to see you guys. Thank you so much. And herpes can never. Shayna?
If you're feeling sad about your herpes, if you're feeling depressed about your herpes, if you feel like your herpes makes you dirty, it ruins your sex life, your herpes is going to prevent you from finding the love of your life, your herpes limits you. If you feel any of this, I'm here to tell you today that herpes could never. Because look at me and look at Amber, and that's not what the fuck herpes is doing. Herpes has saved Amber's life. Herpes has put me on a path to self-discovery. Herpes has showed me all the areas where I wasn't showing up for myself. Herpes has taught me how to love myself in the areas that I didn't like in my own self, how to please myself, pleasure myself, have the best sex in my life, even though I haven't had sex in 3 years with myself. This is what herpes has done for me. I've grown a community. I get to serve my purpose. My purpose is to uplift souls even when I'm not around, and I'm doing that through my herpes with you all. Herpes is a goddamn blessing. I didn't get herpes, herpes got me. And I'm here to remind y'all that herpes could never, ever, 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 ever.
Big herpes can never energy. Ever, 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 ever. All right, we'll catch y'all back here Monday.
All right.